I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. God, thank you once again for this time to come and do business for the school district here at Huntsville. And God, we just thank you for the opportunity that you've given all of us to impact young people's lives. God, I pray that as we make decisions tonight and whatever may come up, that you give us wisdom to make good decisions and decisions that honor you. Just thank you for those who serve in our armed forces and those who protect us each and every day through first responders and police and all those things. God, we thank you for those people, and God, I just pray that you would just give them a special blessing. God, but most of all, I thank you for your son Jesus and what he did for us on the cross. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All members are present, so we have a quorum. Call this meeting of August 6th, 2024 to order.
All right, it's good to see everyone. Good to see everyone out here. We've had a busy month. We're excited about the start of school. We're excited to see the kids back. And, teachers are already back working in the classrooms very hard, trying to get everything in place. And so we're excited for the start of the school year. The consent agenda is over in your first tabs, A, B, C, D, and E. There are 5 items that were presented to you. The meeting agenda for tonight, the approval of the minutes from our normal meeting in July, the approval of the minutes from the special meeting that we had concerning the property on Kane Street, enrollment report, that's in tab D, and the district financial report. I will just say that as you flip over to the enrollment report on tab D, it is a little concerning. We are down about 100 students, and at $7,771 per student, that's a lot of money. And so we will be tracking that. You know, some of that was actually reflected in the spring. You know, your last August number was one of your higher numbers through the year, and by May your numbers had already started to drop off, and we are a little concerned with that. We certainly hope the first day of school that there'll be some new students. I'm sure there will be. There usually are, and within the first few days. But I know that you'd asked for the enrollment report, so that is kind of where we're at as we meet today. The financials look good. We feel confident with where we are. There's just things to clear up from last year, and as we come back for the next meeting, we will be closing in on the date to provide a budget for next year. It's kind of hard to get that done until you get the previous year closed up, but we are very close to that. We do know that we are going to end last year to the good and feel good about that. I feel good about the fact that we think we will be able to transfer a small amount of money into the building fund, as you all approved, I believe, in the May meeting. So that is the consent agenda. Anybody has any questions? If not, I would recommend that we approve the consent agenda.
We got a motion to approve. Motion by Josh, second by Nick. All in favor?
All right. Administration reports. We'll start and work our way around the room real quick. Tanya, you're sitting there, so we'll just start with you, all right?
We have an optimistic view of having everybody staffed by the time school gets started. But mostly what I wanted to share with you is something that I just thought was really cool and I want to share it with you. This is a Braille math textbook, section volume 1, modules 1 through 12. It's the HMH math for a 3rd grader. And you know this young lady that will probably be using this, but I'm going to pass it around if you just want to look at it. It's all in Braille, every single thing that Gen Ed students would get, and you can see the graphs and everything in it. And I just think this is super cool that our district is able to provide that for her, because she's brilliant and she's right in step with everyone else. And I'm just really pleased that as a district we can provide this kind of instruction for her. So that's my report.
All right. And now let me add to that and say that last year at the co-op, we actually, our division teacher from the co-op that works with her did a presentation on this young lady. And it was truly amazing. And we were proud of the work that's taking place at the co-op, and I know now we're proud of the work that's taking place here.
And that was with the help of Marcia, she helped us.
Yes, Marcia did.
And we've been very fortunate to have the same aide go through and
Yes.
with her and just really,
All of her continuing learning that she's done. just-
yes, to learn all of that.
Natasha?
I don't have anything nearly as exciting as that. I'm just working on preliminary budgets for the year. We just got allocations last week, so that's where I'm at.
Well, I do have things as exciting as that, because we are enrolling students left and right. So, I know that's a concern, but they're filtering in, that's about all we did today. So, we're excited
That's great.
that that's continuing.
And like we said earlier, the beauty of them coming in there is we have them for a long time. So, yeah, that's great.
We have students coming in and enrolling as well. We're just getting classrooms ready, teachers back in the rooms, getting classrooms ready, and ready to see those kiddos first day, so.
Back to the middle school?
We are also feeling excitement. We're working to finalize our master schedule and create student schedules. We had to make some adjustments to it so that our students can have the best middle school experience possible. And so we're still working on that, but we're working hard at it, and we're excited to see our kiddos too.
High school?
We still have some people filtering in, and we're still enrolling students, so feel good about that. We have 193 ninth graders, and continuing to get some of those, so that's good. We wish our other grades were a little higher, but they're sitting at 585, so it's not terrible. Hopefully it continues to get better. We're almost fully staffed. We finally had some special education applicants. Had a good interview this afternoon, so I feel like we're going to get that filled. We're excited about that. Chromebooks and schedules being passed out today to grades 11 and 12, and then we'll do that again tomorrow. For grades 9 and 10, go till 6:30 tonight and tomorrow with those. Still working on trying to shore up some of our systems and processes with our teachers, and just the way we do things, to try to tighten things to be more efficient. That's always, we have a new career coach, Hallie Seymour, and got to visit with her today, and she has some great ideas. Glad to have her, and hopefully we can get the other one replaced soon as well. We talked about celebrations. Celebrations are very important. Celebrate students who are going on to career and technical careers in schools, and those who go to college, those who get athletic scholarships. We want to have more celebrations for what our kids are involved in.
St. Paul?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Met this afternoon with our culture team to get our first day activities of school planned out, and just good to get back together again. Most of those went with me to Renaissance last month, and we brought back some really great ideas that we're going to implement and keep doing what we're doing. So we're excited about that, and excited about PD. Tomorrow, new teacher PD, and then Thursday, everybody back together at the activity center. Super excited about our guest speaker coming in too. I've had the opportunity to hear him speak before, and I think the district's going to get a lot out of that. So we're rocking and rolling. Got Bragg on our custodial maintenance down there. We painted, gave the campus a facelift, a little fresh, and they've done an awesome job. So super excited to keep going together.
First, if you would, talk briefly about your trip.
Yes, sir.
And let's celebrate that a little bit.
So when we were there last year, one of the main people in Renaissance, he goes around before a breakout session, introduce himself, he come up. So he looked at my name tag, said, "Bruce, tell me your story." So I did. And his name's Wyatt Carter. And he said, "Man, you got to present at one of these conferences." And I said, "Oh, we're just new into it, and we're not speakers." And he goes, "No, I'm serious. I want you to apply to present when it opens up in April." And so, sure enough, we did, and we got accepted. So our team went down to Florida, and we presented in one of the breakout sessions, and our title of our presentation was Our Saints Journey So Far. That's what they wanted it to be after getting some information from us. So I took my team of teachers that met with me today, counting myself, there was 10 of us that went, and instead of me getting up there and telling the story, I opened up and then I just turned it over to them, and they were rock stars. And we had a Jostens representative from the East Coast up around Massachusetts attended. And after it was over with, he said, "How long you been doing this?" And I said, "We've been a Renaissance school for 2 years." And his words to me is, "It's amazing what you've been able to do in 2 years at your campus." And he said, "You need to be commended for that." And I said, "No, they need to be commended for that because they bought into it from day one, what we're trying to do with rebranding our fleur-de-lis and things like that." So it was a great experience. We loved it. Again, you know, just get to hear the speakers and get re-energized and get ready for school. So it was an amazing experience.
That's great to have one of our teams
Yes, sir.
recognized at national conference,
Yeah.
taken away, and so congratulations to you
Thank
and your
you.
staff for that. Yes, sir. Athletics.
All right, first off, our golf team started their season yesterday and played out at Oak Ridge against, it was Kingston, Jasper, and Prairie Grove, and both of our boys and girls team won yesterday, so they got off to a good start, so we're proud of them. Football-wise, the Meet the Team community event will be on the 15th. That will be in lieu of a maroon-white game for the football team, and one of the main primary reasons for that is our scrimmage is on the 20th, just a few days later. And so that's gonna give us a chance to keep our guys healthy and then turn around. And the way the season just fell in the calendar this year, we're starting a little bit early. So, the scrimmage will be down in Greenland on the 20th, and so hopefully we can get off to a good start. I know the guys have been working hard and beating the heat and putting a lot of effort in. Our volleyball auction and maroon-white game will be on the 24th. And that's always a big deal, and I know that that's one of the bigger fundraisers for the volleyball team in the year, and I was just completely bumfuddled last year at the amount of money people will pay for a pie. But we're thankful for the support that this town gives all of our programs, and we're really appreciative of that. And so that's where we are. So I know Mr. Steve's probably gonna ask me about Dragonfly here in a second, so I'll just go ahead and beat you to it. I've been fighting with it all afternoon, and so no, it doesn't really look a whole lot different, but we're working on it, so. That's about all I have.
Another driver passed their driving test this afternoon, so it's been a good day. That helped a little bit. We do have some nice, gently used antique buses for sale. They have them out there. It's on the government website. No paper bids this year, which is kind of not work for some people. We may be able to do something different next year. So we're just out there.
Collector's items, right?
What's that?
Collector's items.
Collectors, yeah, absolutely.
Relics, classics,
Classics.
barn find.
Food service?
All right, so it's application for reduced meal application time, big fun. I have started, they've been rolling in. We're working on getting some more incentives to hand out as people apply, they can be thrown in a hat for that. We were able to lower lunch prices down to $2.50 this year, which is awesome. And I think that'll benefit parents quite a bit. That's all I have.
Thank you. Now, you were able to take the price down
Yes, 50
Because-
cents,
because
because we
of-
reached the 70%.
because of what we did last year. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why it's so important everybody gets those forms in.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I've been enrolling custodians, not near as exciting, it costs us money, so get this money. We're finishing up our summer projects. We've been really busy with some of our summer projects. We've got mulch coming in for the playgrounds, we're gonna try to get that cleaned up and look more nicer. We're gonna start selling off some of our old furniture so that we can get some storage area, so that we can store some of this good furniture that we have left over. So as soon as school starts back, we'll start on the Gov Deal project on selling some of our furniture, some of our older stuff, just to get it out of warehouse. We probably won't bring much money in with it, but anything that we get out of it, is better than paying the recycling center to get rid of it. I've got a meeting with the integrity group coming up again, to go over the finishing of our water conservation program and going with upgrading the lights in the bus barn and such. Kind of waiting on Mr. Law to see if he wants to be in that or if he will, whatever he wants done with that. The biggest thing is I do have to give a big shout out to the St. Paul campus, the custodians and the maintenance guys there. They've done a fantastic job, like Bruce said, on giving, kind of some updating on some of our campuses, getting some paint done. We just ran out of time with the personnel that we had to get any paint done up here. But, we have gotten all of our floors done, so we're sitting in pretty good shape to start off the school year.
Bruce, I did have a question on the, and I don't know if it's actually a question towards you, but on the cement, you know how there's the Saints emblem, arms are completely faded, is that something that's done annually, or how does that?
Yeah, so we try to prioritize
Yeah.
what we're trying to do, so, Mr. Trahan and his environmental science class will come out and they'll restripe the, handicap zones and they'll paint that, so yeah, they actually have the
They take
stencil that
care of
covers
it.
that,
Okay.
yep, sure do.
That's what I was wondering.
And that is something else that we're doing here in Huntsville, is we're striping, the crosswalks at intermediate, middle school, and high school. We're restriping that. So they're supposed to start this weekend on that. That's all I got.
No, we're just wrapping up. The guys have been counting down the days till school starts, because it slows down for us hopefully a little, because we have a short window to get a lot done, but I'm very proud of them. I mean, they've really booked it this summer, and we're, for the first time than I can remember, I think we're actually gonna be able to get our list done. So very proud of them, the hard work, very proud that, you know, we prioritize where teachers are gonna come back, their technology is all set up for them, so that's one less, you know, obstacle that they have. And so that'll be ready to go for them on the first day as well. And so we're just gearing up and finishing up, got Chromebook handouts this week, and just getting ready for teachers to be back, and so that they can be ready to go.
I want to give a shout out to our admin team. You know, we have a lot of great people work across the district, but I'm reminded every summer, we went to the AAEA conference, and it was just great. We got to hang out a little bit and did an escape room, and you know, besides the conference, we did go to the conference. But it's just a great opportunity for us to really bond and get to know each other a little bit better, and it's a good reminder that how thankful I am to have such a good team. So thank you all. And I also wanted to mention Bright Futures Breakfast. We went to that this morning. Some of you were there, and just very excited that Jennifer Eaton has taken that on and rolling with it, and wanted to do that here for a long time. So I'm glad to see her moving with that. And you'll see, I think she already put out some Facebook posts today. So if you see Bright Futures, please like that page. And our Hope page that I used for all of our community needs, student needs, we're going to transition all of that to Bright Futures. So I'll put a Facebook post out on that today as well. So everything will be running through Bright Futures for our community needs. And you know, we had a family that had a house fire just recently. They don't have students enrolled in the district, but we still want to meet those needs as well. And so Jennifer's working with that family too. And so any needs that come up in the community, it doesn't have to be kids that go to our school, but we want to help our community in that way. So big shout out to them for that. You want me to go ahead and do the academic
I'll come back to you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna piggyback off of that and say, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of teams, but this is an excellent team. This is an excellent group of people to work with. And they work hard, they're committed, they've got interested kids in their heart on both campuses. And I enjoyed going down to St. Paul the other day and looking at the work that they have done, getting ready for school, and the work they've done is great, and I'm proud of it. And is there still things that can be done? Sure there are, but we're making steps in the right direction. And, it's just been a wonderful group to work with for the past 6 weeks or so. I've greatly enjoyed working with them, and so I just want to piggyback on that. And the Bright Futures, I think, is a wonderful program. And I think we have other wonderful programs here that have taken place. Some of our churches, Kiwanis, others. But I think bringing all of these together to really address the needs of students within 24 hours is really, really important. And we know just like every district everywhere, we have kids that have needs. And so, I look forward to seeing what that program will do, so. All right, superintendent's report, I just have a few things to report out. The first one is the land sale on Highway 23. You all agreed to sell that land back, I believe, in May. We have that paperwork with Mr. Allred. We are working on closing, but we have not closed on it yet. We are just waiting on that paperwork to take place. Department of Academic Facilities has actually been here twice to look at the middle school. They are, you have on your master plan, so plan to do some demolition at the middle school, to move the middle school students over to the high school, and to build a new high school. And that is a lofty goal that we are going to work towards. That is the plan, and we should hear in September whether or not our plan has been approved, and then we will not find out to the legislative session whether we're funded. So being approved is nice, but you really, whether or not the money comes is the other part of that. But we are going to put everything in place as best we can to be ready for that in case, and step forward with that, and you know, building costs just continue to go up, and we do qualify for a large percentage of state participation, which is helpful. And we have already had meetings with architects. We've already been out to the site and looked at the land, and there is a lot of potential. But that's where we are as of right now. We're in the planning phase. We're in the discussion phase, and we are waiting to hear more really in September now. I want to move the C property on King Street down if we can. I think we might have an opportunity to go into executive session to discuss that. There has been a thing or two happen with that in the last 24 hours. So, baseball and softball update. I have met with Shelby, with Mr. Sizemore, twice now. We have discussed their building. Their building is, after he and I sat down and we really began to draw it out on our second meeting, what they want it to do and what it's big enough to do is two different things. And so he was going to have to meet with his group and talk about their finances and see where they were. You know, originally they said they want to be able to put a full infield in it. Well, you know, the baselines are 90 by 90, but second base and shortstop play back behind the baselines. And so to actually get that in, the building is going to have to be a little bigger. And I plan on meeting with him again tomorrow to discuss that. But we are trying to move forward on that. And they have funds in place. We have the place for it. We have the need. And so I'm looking forward to continuing those discussions. School-based health clinic. We have applied for a school-based health clinic that will be at the primary school. We have been accepted for that, so we are excited about that. That will allow us to have access to a nursing assistant or a physician's assistant during the day. So there are some facility concerns we have with it. We have 6 months to get the facility up to date. So we were talking about it today, as a matter of fact, but we're trying to get school started first. After we get school started, we will sit down and start to look at that facility and see what we can do over the next 6 months to get that in place. And you know, I don't know exactly what the time frame is on that. I certainly hope by the spring that we will have that in place, and that will be moving forward. I think that will be a great thing. Jennifer, you spoke up about it today. Anything you want to add to that, or any other? Okay. Yeah.
Will that be open to community?
Yes, we'll be open to students and community.
Boston Mountain will provide a nurse practitioner and a nurse.
Nurse practitioner. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and so community, staff, students can use it.
And that's why we moved it from the original thought was to have it in the old office, but we elected to move it into that white building that kind of faces the playground because the community would be in and out.
That was my next question. I didn't really want community members being inside with our students.
Right,
This
so
will take care of that.
we'll navigate how that looks, getting kids in and off the playground and the security.
We access that through the practice field or up the sidewalk between, pre-K and the football field.
Right now, they're gonna be at the end that faces the playground, the main playground. So they would utilize the school parking lot to come in, so designated parking place. There's already a handicap, parking spot located at the, north end of the primary building, so that would be accessible to that. My biggest hurdle is moving kids on and off the playground through the parking lot while they're having access to that indoor. So we'll navigate all of that through this process.
Well, and I mean, we have people coming in and checking into the office at the same time, and so, you know, we feel like it's pretty similar to that, but we wanna be as safe as possible, for sure.
But we usually barricade that part off
Yes.
for the office, so would we just
Where
have to barricade the other side to where they come in from that one entrance to that spot? Because in my opinion, you'd almost have to do that.
I see it, and I will make a simple process complicated in a hurry, but I just will. But I see it as creating some designated parking spaces close to that white building for that. And then what I would look to do, and I've mentioned this to Matt, because there's an outside entrance into that white building. We have talked about a doorway that separates the other part of that building from the clinic, and then moving our gate opening from right there to the other side, between the storm shelter and that white building, so that we're moving kids away from where the community would be coming in and out.
And then access control, I'm guessing, would be taken care of on your end too.
But there is potential to eventually add dental services there as well, so lots of big things
I mean,
to help kids
it's a
out.
great idea. Just, I don't wanna just throw something together just for the sake of throwing something together. So.
Thank you. I wanna move F down also, if we could. The bullying report policy. And let's move to the academic report.
So, as I said in the last board meeting, it's kind of weird this time of year not having our test scores back. We did find out at AAEA, it's actually gonna be a little bit longer than we expected, so, we're not expecting to get those state test scores until December. Which is, so they're doing a lot of standard setting right now, so they're getting those scores in, and then they're setting the bar basically for what's proficient and what's not. And so that process has taken some time. We hope Worsham is over accountability, and she spoke on it and just said, you know, it's just gonna take some time for them to get that standard set. And then once they have that set, then we'll roll back to normal like we always have. We'll get our scores in the summer, like we have before, but this year's gonna be different, and that's tough, starting the year not having that, you know, because teachers kind of depend on some of that.
Actually, you're gonna be rolling into the next semester.
Start the year.
Don't know anything.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at those early interim assessments pretty hard, and you know, obviously common formative assessments and that type of stuff to determine where our kids are at and any last year's data that we've got. So so that was new information to me. Another thing, we're working on a new curriculum for our automotive program. Mr. Wrinkle reached out to me, and he's used the curriculum that we're looking at a little bit, and wanted to try that for this year. We've used the program was owned by ICEV, or ICEV, it's today's class, and so we're moving away from that and looking at something new, and so hopefully I can get that ordered and get it ready for him before school starts. I think Mr. Nichols actually was working on getting that ordered. And then also, we're gonna order some textbooks for Mr. Shin for his EMR class, the emergency medical responder class. Working on getting that done. And then We're also looking at panorama education. That's something that Bruce came back with from the Renaissance Learning. It's just a tracking system for behaviors, academics, interventions. So just something, the reason we're looking at it is because it's a system that could potentially put all of our data in one place. We're making sure that it's gonna sync with eSchool, which it will, Acadience and some of the other programs that we use. And we can upload report cards into it, so all of that could be there, so that whenever we have parent-teacher conferences, the teacher can have all of that information right in front of them and be able to relay that to the parents, so.
Do other local schools use that?
Not that I know of yet. I haven't got pricing on it yet, so I haven't even really reached out yet. Once I get the pricing on it, because it's a pretty extensive system, so I imagine the pricing is gonna be pretty high too. And that'll determine
Is there grant money for
next
any of that?
steps, potentially. We could potentially use some federal funds for it, but we gotta see how much it is first.
Right.
So, but I've had 2 meetings with them, and Jennifer sat in on the last one with me, and it's a great system, but we just have to make sure it syncs up with everything we're using. So, but I think that's it for the academic report.
Last meeting, we had, I had a question for you about the ninth graders being offered CTE. You was gonna have me an answer. Did you get one?
Yeah, turns out that ninth graders were offered some CTE classes, but for some reason, there was at least one class that was left out of those offerings. So we made sure we got that added back in, contacted the entire freshman class and parents, to give them the opportunity to enroll their students in it. But we already did have several students taking another class, so it wasn't an intentional exclusion, it was a glitch, and hopefully we have that straightened out.
All right, if you'll turn to new business and turn to tab A. It's a housekeeping item, trying to get ready for the start of school and going through. It had been brought to my attention that there's a couple things involved with substitutes that had not been cleaned up with us going to the 4-day week. And so we do believe we have addressed that. We are proposing to raise the current classified rate from $93.50 to $103 per day. The licensed substitute is currently at $100 per day. That would be increased to $125. And the extended licensed substitute for 10 days or more currently is at $105 and would be increased to $130. That would be consistent, I believe, with what we have done with other things across the district based on moving to the 4-day work week. I would recommend that we approve the proposal for substitute teacher pay as presented.
Make a motion. Natalie?
All in favor?
Thank you. If you'll turn over to tab B. First off, I want to thank Coach for his work on this, and Coach Preston for his work on this. In our last meeting, we were talking about the use of the new arena, and we then began to get into discussions, and we had discussions at the last meeting about funding for athletics and needing all the revenue we can get, and things are more expensive than they were. And one of the things that we discussed was the use of the arena and the use of our other athletic facilities. And although we certainly want to make our facilities available to local community and civic groups, we just felt like groups that are coming in and making money, we ought to get a cut of that. And so we had a discussion about that, and he went to work and contacted some of our other districts around that have comparable facilities and looked at what they were doing. This policy, the first part that says facility fee, all campuses, cafeteria, kitchen tap, all of that was already in place. We didn't really touch it. Everything from there down really deals just with athletic facilities. And our thought is, I believe that if Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts wanna use it, that's one thing. If a group that's charging $10 a person to come in and make money off of it is using it, that's a different thing. And this policy addresses that. Coach, anything you wanna add to that?
Sure, just, I know I probably should have put that up on the first page where it says the fee group 1, group 2, and group 3. The first group, it's listed out on the second page if you haven't seen it. But group 1 is like any nonprofit community group that we feel a connection with, and we feel like they're trying to do good and we want to help them out. Group 2 is if you are a nonprofit, or if you're not a nonprofit but from our district, you get a little bit of a break. And then group 3 is if you're a nonprofit or not a nonprofit from outside of our district. That's a little bit more too. That we're taking care of our own, and want to help out as best we can and still do right by the school and by our facilities and make sure we have the things to take care of them. Also, we talked about this quite a bit to make sure we didn't price anybody out. There's a few schools in our area that have facilities like ours that are charging $1,000 to rent theirs out, and we didn't want to go that high because we want to show our facilities off. We want them to be used. I've seen more beauty pageants in the last month than I've seen in my life. But that's helping the school out. It's been great. And so anything we can do like that, I think is good for the community. And in all seriousness, through the beauty pageants the last few weeks, we've gotten tons of comments and compliments on our facility and the fact we're letting them use it and how it's helped them out so much. So it's already making a positive impact on the community. So we wanted to price it where we could have benefit from it, but not outprice anybody either. So.
Anybody have questions on that?
On that, like, say you get somebody that rents it, we're gonna keep a record, and if there's abused stuff or stuff's tore up and stuff.
Yes, sir, and there's back in the back, there's a contract even that states that any abuses would fall back on them. I tried to make sure everything was completely covered, so we had our bases covered too.
Yeah, I hadn't read that far yet, so.
So,
Thank you.
and especially, like, look, a couple weeks ago, the wrestling event, which was awesome, if y'all missed it, they're coming back in January, so put it on your calendar. Do I now?
January 4th.
Yeah, January 4th, so, it was great, but when I saw that ring on the middle of the court, my heart just stopped, because I'm like, this is gonna be bad. But it worked perfect. I mean, they took care of everything. They knew what they were doing, and so it was really good. So, but we have those
Do they
contracts.
provide their own security for them?
The part of that could be included in the pricing too, if we need to have, which with the wrestling officer, Melton was the main guy in it, and there was every cop in Huntsville was there that night, so we were well protected. But that's part of the issue with these funds as well, is if we do have to hire a maintenance person to come in to make sure everything's clean or somebody's there to watch, we have enough extra money in that put aside, we can help pay them too and take care of it.
So I would appreciate your work on it. I would, this is consistent with what many other districts have. I would recommend that we approve the facility rental fees as presented.
Nick and Steve, all in favor?
All right, thank you. Under the next tab, tab C, these are different service providers that we have. Tanya, to make sure I don't mess up, you chime in here. But these are OTPT, these are speech, vision, add to that.
You got most of them. We got OT, PT, vision, integrated learning is like ABA therapy for behavior people to come in and assist. Theraplay is mostly for St. Paul, but they do OT and PT and speech. We have a use as we need it MEMA agreement. What was that called? MEMA or MOU? Yeah. With the Children's Hospital for their EARS program. Marion Hale is our speech for the whole district, and Surratt therapy is OT.
We have one speech therapist for the whole district?
No, she has a
Oh,
company, and she
okay.
has, there's 6 or 7,
Okay.
but we do our contract with her, and then she hires her people.
Okay.
Same thing with Serap, he has 2 people.
This is consistent to what you've had in the past.
Yes, there's no new companies or anything other than, the integrated learning, but we did use them most of the year. Last year.
Any questions?
Can I get a motion to approve? One, motion second, Nick, all in favor?
Thank you. All right, building handbook changes. You have approved the handbook in the past. All we have brought to you at this point is just the changes that we have in the handbook. And so let's start with the primary school.
Okay, hopefully in your packet, you'll see just an at-a-glance page that just explains any changes that were made in the first section of our handbook that won't be the same as everybody else's. So the Section 4 policies that are the ASBA policies will be changed according to like everybody else's, but specifically just our arrival times and drop-off times, just to change that according to the new 4-day schedule. One thing that we did clarify in this, and this is just something that comes up at Finn's court when we're discussing excessive absences in the court setting, is specifying what constitutes a half-a-day absence and tardies, because that's something that is just a little bit different in the primary setting than the high school setting. So we just made that more clear for our families. Then the next thing that we really added this year was our school-wide behavior plan. It's our behavior matrix that we've had in place on our campus for about 6 or 7 years, but I just felt like it was something our families needed to be aware of. And, you know, when we're talking about our SOAR chant, what does that mean? And then consequences that we use for not following behavior expectations that aren't like your bullying policy or things that are in the Section 4, but what might a teacher do to address the behavior needs when they see that. So just a way to kind of share with our families what that might look like. And then the cafeteria, we just specified those behavior expectations for the cafeteria, and then just kind of addressed, this is also something that's come out of need, unfortunately, in situations where we have family and custodial situations, being able to outline who may come and have lunch with a student as far as that goes, because we have run into that in this last year of family members that we know are family members that the parents do not wish to eat with their child. And so unfortunately, it's just something that just protects us so that we don't get in any hairy situations. So those are our main policy changes and updates for this year.
Okay. Any questions with those? All right, intermediate?
On ours, we changed our start times and end times as well. And the big thing with ours was we did put on dress and grooming, no pajamas, because we started having problems with that. So we added that, and
Bluetooth shoes, what are Bluetooth shoes?
they have speakers and like they can connect stuff and
Okay, yeah, I've seen those, like Under Armour has some that you can connect.
yeah, I was like, you need to just go ahead and put it all in there, because they'll try, so.
While you're on that, just no hats and all this other stuff, does that include these little cat and dog ears and all that stuff too? It should. Because a distraction is a distraction.
Yeah.
You can adjust it, say headwear.
Headwear, yeah, that's a good idea. So I could put that, because I'm like, I don't know how to really put that, because
You're
it's
gonna have that
variety.
one parent, my kid can't wear a hat, but this kid can wear a set of cat ears.
Mm-hmm,
So
yeah.
to
I'll add
cover
headwear.
everything, that, I would throw
Okay.
something in there to protect the whole ordeal, you know?
Yes. Okay, good idea. The only other thing really we changed was like our OSS and ISS was 5 and 10 days, so we changed that to 4 and 8 since we're 4-day week. That's pretty much all that we have.
Any questions? Middle school?
We actually have several changes on here. I will say that there was a handbook committee that met before school got out and made changes together as a team. And then we had the opportunity to send a behavior team to a Thrive workshop, which is like a state directive behavior matrix, like what you were talking, is that where you got your matrix from? Like,
Well, we had done it before,
yeah,
but
yeah, okay. And so they've been working hard on creating the matrix and the flow chart, and there was a problem with the handbook not lining up necessarily with the matrix, and so we were trying to make sure that everything in our handbook aligns with our flow chart so that we can make our professional development relevant and useful in our school. And so just to kind of go through what the process was, and Tracy was actually, she's on the behavior team and was at Thrive, so if you would like to ask her questions, I think she wouldn't mind. But one of the things we did was we first went through and talked about all the behaviors that we're seeing at the school, and the teachers placed the behaviors either in a teacher-managed, low, or high category, and then an office-managed, low or high category. And so based upon what they feel should be managed in the classroom versus what should be managed by the office. And we actually are planning on doing that at our PD as well with the entire staff, and the teachers that went to Thrive are gonna present that and do this activity with the staff just to make sure that our flow chart is where we want it. And so the behaviors that are getting changed in the handbook are pretty much the ones that were on the teacher managed side. And for our flow chart, we created step one was that students will get a verbal warning. So you'll see that that's a lot of, that has been changed a lot in here.
I noticed it says redirection, and I know how that looks in a preschool setting. But I'm not sure how it looks with a teenager cussing out his teacher, how you redirect that.
Well,
because I mean, it's under disruption and disrespect.
So we
that's
actually,
an issue I have.
yeah, no, I'm glad you're asking that question. So this is, can I show you this? Sure, if you want to. I've made several copies. Let me keep one. Yeah, sure.
Bring back the Board of Education.
So
Life was so much simpler back then.
what Ms. Prince is passing out is what we call a big deal meter, which is one of the activities we're gonna do together as a school. And you'll notice that there's like rudeness is part of the, they have categorized that as moderate, but that would be teacher managed. But then down below, there's like insubordination and discrimination type things. And so they've kind of categorized some of those. And so like cussing out a teacher would be, you know, not just, I mean, it would be a higher priority, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's not.
Are we gonna spell that out somewhere though?
Yeah.
Are we gonna be at the discretion of certain teachers?
So that's a great question too. That's one of the reasons I'm so grateful that we got to go to Thrive. It gets us all on the same page. We all want to have clarity on what we are expecting.
That's what we're wanting also.
So we have little kids and
Yeah.
so.
Absolutely. So I want the teachers to feel supported. We want the students to know that what the expectations are. And so this flow chart that she passed out is one of the things that we're working on, deciding what's minor, what's major, and what steps will be taken at that point. So to answer your question, like we will clarify as a staff what we consider excessive rudeness or whatever. Go right ahead.
We kind of discussed as a team too when we were looking at this, like foul language was definitely one of the incidents that had occurred throughout the year. So but we talked about there's a difference. If somebody's working or drops something and they yell out a curse word versus going up to somebody or another student, another teacher, and just calling them some, a curse word of some kind. That's where the difference would be. The first one would definitely be teacher managed.
Cussing's cussing.
It is, but.
Inappropriate language is inappropriate language for the situation. As I always said to the kids.
It's not that it
I
would be
get that
addressed.
it needs to go to the principal.
Right, our goal is to try to keep the kids in class.
Right.
We want them learning, we don't wanna throw them out every chance we get just because they yell out a curse word. We can address that in class with the student one-on-one, as opposed to if they're causing like a full room disruption because they're yelling and cursing at somebody, that's different. That's straight to the office. That's more major.
Will it be documented at the classroom level though?
Yes.
And you'd be able to give that kid detention.
Well, so what we have right now in place is that they would be able to assign behavior intervention. And so detention is right now and last year has been assigned by the admin at the middle school. But the teachers will be able to assign behavior intervention. And so in lieu of going to a club weekly or bi-weekly, we're not for sure exactly how often we're gonna do that, but students would not be able to go to the club, and instead they would go to an intervention where they talk through what their behavior was, what they could do differently, what maybe the triggers were, and then the consequence they're missing participating in clubs.
Well, in it here, it doesn't even match though, because it says disrespect for school employee, and then it's crossed out where they get, detention, multiple detentions. And then you go over to, where it says insubordination and punishment, which I would think that would fall under disrespect, because it says disrespect where they fail to comply. And then insubordination, it says that they're willfully defying the person, says that's 1 day ISS. So I'm not seeing what the difference between those two are. Disrespect for school employee, which states you're not doing what the person told you to do. And now you have insubordination also saying willfully not doing what you're supposed to do, but it's two different punishments.
Well, so I think in our mind, like a student could be disrespectful by walking in and, I don't know, slamming a door or just looking rudely at someone.
But here it says that it is failure to comply with teacher, staff directions or otherwise demonstrating disrespect.
What page are you on?
Page 14. And then when you flip over to page 18, it says willfully disregarding, defying, or intentionally going against the directive of the school employee. And there's two different behavior. I think that could be a big problem for somebody who's kid's in trouble and then they get out the handbook and they start, really going through it. And you've given them the one for insubordination and they're saying, oh, but over here in disrespect, it says he was just supposed to be redirected.
So typically, maybe we need to word that differently. I appreciate your comment, but typically I think what we're considering disrespect is more of a minor disrespectful behavior. And unfortunately, kids are going to be kids and sometimes they have bad days and, insubordination to me and I think our team was that they are defying any kind of redirection or any kind of instruction. Where
Yeah, but the wording is almost the same. So somehow you're gonna have to change that wording completely.
And I think
We're going to have to move forward with a handbook for school stuff. Now, we'll need to get board approval for a handbook. I think that we certainly have an opportunity to go back and relook at some of this, and maybe when we come back in September, revisit this again. But we will need a handbook to present to our parents at our open houses.
And well, there's also where it has disruption of school, which I think is, if you're disrupting school, you're interfering with everybody else's learning and operation of school. But it's the same consequences if you come dressed inappropriately. Which I think if you come dressed inappropriately, you're given the option either your parent comes and gets you or you change into the clothes we provide, because they always have a lot of extra clothes. But it doesn't seem that those two things are equivalent. I wore the t-shirt my mom put on me today and I couldn't help it, and it's, some kids, that's what's gonna happen, but they're in the same bind as the kid. I just don't think the disruption for school is enough compared to if we're gonna do that.
There might be some opportunities to come back and revisit this and look at this, knowing.
I was trying to look it up real quick, but, it says refer to ASB policy 4.18. So I need to look at it to make sure, but I think the wording comes from ASBA, the Arkansas School Board Association. So it's not that they're putting that wording in and it's easily changed. That's an ASBA policy that we don't really have the ability to just change that wording.
Well, and I think like with disruption, I think that could be just a student standing up or talking to their neighbor or whatever, and you have to redirect them and say, let's stop talking and pay attention. But it could also be more extreme and being a student screaming and yelling, and so that's, I think, partly why we're trying to clarify what's teacher managed and office managed, and all
I just
get
need
on
to
the
make
same
sure that my
page.
teachers are gonna be taken care of.
Absolutely.
They're gonna.
And that's my, yes,
whenever
and I want that goal too. Yes. And I will say, one of the benefits, I'm grateful for the opportunity to go to Thrive with the team of teachers because they're the ones who are really working on putting what's a major, what's a minor, and getting us all on the same page.
Let's move forward with this, let's revisit that, and when we come back in September, maybe we can visit about that again, and, see if we can answer some questions that have been raised today. High school?
All right, if you
Can I
have,
say something before we go
Yes,
on?
yeah.
For any parents out there, that two things I saw that they need to really think about, if you keep coming and checking your kid out at the end of the day at middle school, you're gonna start increasing their days absence for that period. You can't pick them up early every day because they wanna go home early. You gotta be there, and you need to be aware of that. And second thing is, there's nothing worse than having something happen at school. Their child falls, they cut their head, whatever, and we contact you and that number doesn't work. Please, 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 update your emergency contact numbers.
All right, Mike?
if you have the high school handbook changes there, and it looks like there's a lot that the committee met before I got here, obviously, and I think my impression is that there was a lot of cleaning up they wanted to do, and certain things they wanted to tweak just a little bit. So I encourage you to go through there and make sure you understand each one of those, because there are some differences there. Added at the top there, if a student refuses to give up their cell phone, that moves to insubordination. That increases the consequence. And I can tell you that happens regularly. Kids don't want to give up their cell phones. So we have to up that consequence on that. We address deliveries. Deliveries can be very dangerous. Lots of things can be delivered to students throughout the day. Sometimes older boyfriends will just try to sneak in and hand girlfriend a bag and go back in the building, and we don't know what's in there. So for safety reasons, we have to take that much more seriously. Under dress code, I think, and I was talking to one of you before the meeting, if you look at all those things under dress code, it looks like we cut a bunch of stuff out and made the dress code more permissible, and that's really not the case. What we did is we cleaned up a lot of language in there, and we tried to eliminate some specifics that were in there. Sometimes you bracket yourself in with specifics. We need to get away from some of those so we can make more objective judgments when we're looking at things in dress code. And I have been, for example, you see the third into there, offensive clothing, including those that have QR codes, that whole paragraph. It looks like that whole thing was excluded, and that's really not the case. And if you want me to read the new version of that, I'd be glad to, but it's not all put out. It's just simplified, okay? We don't want them to wear offensive clothing at all. Also simplified, there's language in there about bending over and showing your gluteus maximus. We don't want to see that. We're not asking kids to bend over. Mid-thigh. We want things to come to mid-thigh. That's the only reasonable way to do it, and there's going to be controversy on that. But that's the most objective way we can deal with it. See changes to high honors and honors qualifications. They're more specific. You need more specifics there on what courses you have to take. Too general in the beginning there. It said minimum of 2 of the same type of AP or a mix of courses. A little more specific on what that means. Feel free to jump in anywhere. Changed a little bit in the Renaissance card program. We added some lunch off campus things there, and that is strictly with parent permission, of course.
I like to see that added back. It actually gives it an incentive, a reason to have a Renaissance card.
And you look at it, you say, well, what if they don't drive? Well, we have a nice picnic area in one corner, and we're talking about adding more picnic areas down under those large trees next to the parking lot, so they can go out there and have that. But again, of course, all with the parent permission, and it's not without supervision when it's on campus like that. Semester test exemption criteria, amended no zeros on all B for the course to no more than 2 zeros. C for the course, no more than 1 0. Language on sign in and out there. Amended detention, we're gonna let classroom teachers assign detentions for 3 tardies in their classroom. It's in a semester. And then another detention on top of that for additional tardies. So tardies aren't accumulated in all classes, they're per class. And you see an additional add for tardiness. At 4th tardy to a class period, students will be placed on step 1 of the minor infractions. You also see there we have increased our penalties on vaping. Vaping for minors against the law. And it's worthy of citation, ticket. And we can give them 1 warning, but if they get caught a second time with any vaping materials on campus or something vaping, that's a citation. That's given by law enforcement, not discussed. There are
Good
also
deal.
school consequences.
Absolutely good deal. Good to hear.
And you know, it's not always easy to catch them. You know, we can't just go by, I saw so-and-so vaping. We have to have more proof than that, but we're gonna do all we can to minimize that. And hopefully
Don't we
stop.
have vape detectors and stuff like that?
You do, and yeah, vape
Yeah,
detectors in the bathroom, but
I just sent a picture to the admin team, a couple days ago, yesterday maybe, and, I mean, they have pens that look like this, and they write and everything that's a vape, and on the advertisement, it says increases Riz. I had to ask my kid what that meant, and it's like charisma, but like, it's frustrating the way that they advertise this stuff, because they're targeting our kids.
Oh, that's why cigarettes were when I was a
It's supposed to be
kid.
against the law. Targeting children with illegal, is supposed to be against the law.
Yeah.
But it's still,
Anyway, sorry, I'm
I would
interrupting.
like to see something like this added to the middle school policy also.
Yeah, vaping up there should be pretty much right along these lines here.
But I will tell you, and we want to punish, but on the other hand, we want to educate. We're educators, and we're going to put them in the tobacco cessation program. And help them do that, learn that.
we're still doing that program that we did we instituted last year, right?
The second chance program.
Second
Yes.
chance.
Last thing, we've added a policy on game day competition. That's not just specifically for athletics, it's really for any competition you go to. You have to be at school a half a day. And that's a local rule. That's never been a AAA rule. Some people think it has been, but it's not. We want kids in school on game day. I've seen lots of kids over the years skip school on game day because the game was the most important thing. We want to emphasize that you got to be in school. Now, I've had some that would say, I have an appointment scheduled at Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock that day, can't get out of it, can't change it. You know, there are obviously reasons to get out of it, but at least 9 times out of 10, no. You need to be in school on game day, and that's what we want to emphasize there. Any questions?
Anything else?
100% on board with that too, by the way. We had that discussion, I'm thankful.
That's awesome. That's the way it should be.
St. Paul?
Well, ours are pretty much short and sweet. Both handbooks obviously changed the start and end times. We didn't have any changes to the elementary handbook. And the only big change for the high school handbook was request for early graduation for some kids, so that there's actually a criteria to have some backing as to why you can tell some students no, they can't request an early graduation. And then, we changed, student assistants, teacher's aides, our handbook had, you had to be a senior. Well, we have, a lot of times, we'll have several juniors that have a lot of credits, and, you know, and the teacher would like them to be a teacher's aide, so we added that junior piece in there as well. That was our only changes.
I do have a question, Bruce.
Yeah.
How's phones and vape down there? You have a lot of trouble with it, or?
You know, part of Thrive, which we've all been through, is we have to go back and look at 3 years' worth of data, behavior discipline data. And for me, and I told Mr. Law this, in 2 of my last 3 years, cell phones was one of ours. Vapes, not as much. I'm not saying we don't have a problem, but you gotta catch them.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta catch, and you can't take hearsay and word of mouth. And I know I've caught some. But is it a problem? Yeah. Is it a major problem? I don't think so. I could be naive and wrong, but that's just my thinking on that. Can I say something about Thrive that Tammy was talking about? You know, one of the things they teach us at Thrive is learning how to be proactive instead of reactive. And so, you know, that's why we're putting a lot of these behavior matrices in place, and student and teacher and staff expectations is to be proactive to help try to reduce the behavior problems that we're seeing out of kids. And then one of the things that they teach us is how to recognize our own triggers that maybe set off kids. And I'm a big proponent of Thrive. That was some of the best 10 days, because I stayed an extra with my team and did some stuff. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I like what we're bringing back. And we've created some of our own staff and student expectations that we're gonna go over, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 behaviors. And what does that look like, classroom managed? When does it become an office managed? When is it an immediate office managed? And so I think that's gonna help all of our campuses become better equipped, better for the teachers. And it's a process. We're not professionals at it yet. Some of the schools that's done this for a year, they're still learning the process. So we're gonna figure it out as we go. I'm really excited about what we're doing with Thrive and where it's gonna lead us.
And I will just add to that a little bit, you know, we have kids that, you know, were raised like I was raised. If I got in trouble at school, it was a lot worse at home.
Yeah.
Those kids aren't the ones that we're struggling with the consequences that we have in place. The kids that we struggle with the consequences that we have in place are the kids that don't have that training at home. And so we realize that we've got a job to do to educate our kids, as Mr. Nichols said. And so part of what you're seeing on that flow chart is us trying something new to educate our kids more and work on being more proactive with those behaviors rather than just using the same old consequences we've done for years, because that's not working and we've got to change something. So
I think it's just because we don't understand where redirect applies to middle school.
Right.
You know, 'cause when I'm in my preschool room and I've got 2 kids fighting over a red car, I'm like, oh, Bobby has the red card. You can have the blue card or the green card. Which works best for you? So that's where redirect is in my head. And I just can't wrap my head around
Yeah,
a
so
13-year-old.
I would say it's redirecting, in my mind, in my experience, it would just be redirecting the behavior that they're doing and you're redirecting them to stay on task, to stay focused, to keep their hands to themselves. We actually have that problem a lot in middle school too, and not to be disruptive. It could be a number of things, but it's talking to the student, and I don't think any of us want to get to the point where we're giving a big consequence for like OSS or ISS, and we have had even the parents have had no communication. Like, we're trying to make sure that we really outline the steps. And redirection, in my opinion, would be, and I think all of us are on the same page that went to Thrive anyway, just redirecting the child for the behavior that they're doing at the moment, and no, it's time to turn and learn right now, or put your toy away or whatever. And then if they don't, that's when it goes to another level of something else. So,
And I think we're trying to show too that the redirection or the correcting of the behavior starts in the classroom, where the handbook, generally people look at it like, well, that's what happens when it gets to the office. So we want it to be known that there's several things in place before that happens, and redirection is part of that. just to have, maybe it needs to be explained a little better.
Can you think of that word, like redirection is similar to reminding them of their expectations?
The expectation.
Would that be a good definition?
Just
for
that
it?
maybe it needs to be
Warning.
worded more- yeah,
Warning is
just-
pretty blunt. Remember when you guys would give warning, it was like, name on, and then you were like, but.
So when you're saying you're redirecting, you're like, hey, we can talk about this in a little bit, let's focus on this right now.
It could be, or if they're running in the hall, for instance, but our expectation is to walk in the hallway, we redirect them by saying, remember, we're walking in the hallway. And then if they choose not to walk at that point, after that redirection, then it becomes it escalates to a consequence, yes.
So really, you're just outlining basically what is
What teachers
probably
should be
moving
doing
taking
anyway.
place anyway,
The whole.
but you're actually putting it on.
Yeah.
So-
Trying to get us all on the same
This
page
needs
at
to be
5:30.
much clearer.
And
Because
are
I can
these-
see there's gonna be big conflict between.
Yeah, like, is there gonna be a student meeting with the staff to kind of go over some of this stuff, saying, hey, these are our expectations, these are the consequences for those. PD, but I get that, but are they gonna be done with the students as well?
Yeah, that's a great question too. We actually have these matrices, and this of course is our, this is just our preliminary version, but, these are some of our expectations that we're gonna talk to our students about and what we expect to see the behaviors. I think there's two there.
We typically take the kids on a tour, go to different locations and talk about what's expected in this area. This is what it looks like, the procedures, this is what you should, this is what you shouldn't do.
This has answered a lot of my questions on everybody being on the same page.
And I'll say, I mean, this is work that we've been doing since I was principal up there, but it's been refined since I've been there, and they're doing a great job of making it better every year, and they're gonna continue to do
Well,
that.
and I understand, we had staff change, this is something we should be looking at in March of every year and approving in June. Cause it's like, if I lose my lanyard, those lanyards have to be breakaway anyway, and it can just fall off because it can get hung on anything, I have to go to detention. To me, that doesn't make any sense, but today I told Matt, I'm gonna, I don't know, said something ugly to him today or poked him with a pencil really hard, and I just get redirected. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. You got a kid sitting in detention for, he lost the silly lanyard, I mean, they're important, we all need them, but it can get lost so easy.
So we also do offer a temporary lanyard, a temporary ID. If the student has truly lost it or left it at home, they can get a temporary in the morning and they do not get detention.
But it says in here, if I don't have it at lunch, so it fell off after I got to school and I didn't even realize it,
Well,
I'm like,
unfortunately, it's a safety issue as well. I feel like because our campus is open and we gotta have everybody with their.
oh, and I understand, but why am I getting detention for that? But I got to do something really naughty in class and all I got was redirected. You see, that's the problem. In here, it's saying I'm getting detention.
Ms. Timber, can I answer that just a second?
Yeah.
So one of the things they teach us at Thrive, redirect does not mean you're not gonna get a consequence,
Oh,
okay? You're redirecting at that time to keep the kids on task for whatever it is you're doing in class, so it's not a class disruption. Doesn't mean at the end of the class, the teacher is not gonna give the appropriate consequence for that. They're just not stopping class to get on the mat because he has interrupted class, now it's taken away, he did what he was wanting to do. Take teaching away from that thing. So redirect is just to get us back on task. The consequence will happen, it's just not gonna happen then, we're not gonna make a big deal out of it.
That's what the coach used to do when he messed with some side of the
You just need to
When
clean
your
this
kids
up
are acting
so
up
it
in the
all
car, when we get home, you're getting a whooping.
Yes, sir, go ahead. Well, I'm just gonna say Tanya got us all trained in everyday behavior tools, and I was lucky enough to go through the training and be a trainer ourselves. And that's one of the things that it's hard to get to your staff, because they were like, well, we're not gonna give them any consequences. No, that's not what I was telling you. That's not what we're training you. We're trying to get you back on task for what it is in class that day. The kid's still gonna have consequences, but we're not gonna make a big deal out of it in front of the other kids. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I've had to deal with that 4 times in the last year to where, a student went off and the staff was like, man, Bruce, you were so calm. And that's when I had to explain to the staff that I had to recognize the trigger for the student. Doesn't mean he wasn't going to get a consequence or she wasn't going to get a consequence. We just weren't going to deal with it at that time. I hope that makes sense to you guys and explain it a little bit better.
Sometimes they feed off that attention too, if they
Absolutely.
realize in the middle of
Absolutely.
class, well, I'm gonna do it again, so.
And to answer your question, yes, this is gonna be presented to staff and kids. Our behavior matrix is up in our gym, elementary, lower cafeteria. Our first, second day activity of school, our teachers walk our kids around and we look, what does family, that's one of our values, what does family look like in the cafeteria? Here's what it says. What does it look like in classroom? What does it look like in transitions? What does it look like in the bathroom? And so we show it to each of our kids. And our team and I that met today, when we were planning our back to school first 2 days, that was like, they were like, hey Bruce, when are we going to talk to the kids about our behavior matrix? And so we were throwing that in place as well.
All right, I think we've had a pretty good discussion on this. I think that you know, probably still a little bit of work to do with it. I don't deny that. I think we all agree with that. I think we all agree with the fact that you gotta have discipline in school to have school. There's no question about that. We do need a handbook approved where we can move forward, and that doesn't mean that it's not a living, breathing document. We can come back and revisit and tweak as we move forward. I would recommend that we approve the handbooks as they've been presented with the awareness that in September we can come back and revisit this and maybe do a little more discussion as to how we got to where we are and what the steps are in this training process. I think this is good information that's been provided, and I think that there is a little bit of a teaching and learning process on both sides as to what we all want, what we all need to have school. So I would recommend that we approve the handbook as they are. We will revisit those. We will come back and have discussions on that and move forward as we need to.
Steve, all in favor?
All right, thank you. We have some changes made to transportation. I think these are really to the benefit of our kids and family, it looked like to me, but would you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, for what we're adding, first part we're adding is part D, roads not have a cattle guard on it. This is something we've just done already for years. We just don't have it in black and white. I just like to get it on there. Part E, stop cannot be on the 3-lane or 4-lane of Highway 412. We haven't done 4-lane in many years. I'd like to add 3-lane in there. It's legal. It's just scary and dangerous. People are flying. I'm talking about these passing zones, like you go out the market. Yeah, where the 3-lane's right there. Right now, we've only got one left. I don't intend to take it away from these people. I mean, we'll leave that one alone. I just don't want to have more.
Ain't nothing more devastating than watching a crash happen 200 yards in front of you and somebody losing a life. I mean, you're sitting there behind the wheel of a bus, right behind the bus.
Any questions on those transportation changes? I would recommend then that we approve the transportation changes.
Connie and Josh, all in favor?
The athletic handbook?
Bobby has a question.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
On the transportation, last year, over at St. Paul, there was a bus that repeatedly had gotten ran on a stop. And at least twice, no cameras detected it, and then 2 or 3 times the same bus had inappropriate behavior with Gwen's bus. And she came to me with the problems. I assured her this year the cameras would be working. Would you tell me the cameras and Miss Gwen's bus?
Cameras are already working. We're just not able to get enough detail to capture a license plate.
There wasn't nothing, okay.
I
The
think it's
inside
checking
of
on the
the bus?
bus.
Yes, the inside, yeah, those are always working. I don't know a time when they weren't working. When we've had to move down there. Okay. You can't see everything in there. I know we had an incident with cut seat on her bus where there was not enough detail to catch the students.
Can we double check that? Make sure all the cameras are working, make sure everything's in place.
As they do break down, they stop. As soon as we know there's a problem, we are getting prepared.
Well, my understanding is there's a camera on the inside and the outside of the bus?
That is correct. There's several on both.
7 per bus? Okay.
The 2 inappropriate behaviors wasn't detected last year with my grandchildren, and I'd like that corrected.
Experience I've had with cameras is the fact that cameras are limited in what they can do, what they can see. They're helpful, but they're not perfect.
7 on a bus. There's 7 on the bus, sir.
There is one.
7 total, there's 2 on the stop arm, 1 out the windshield, 1 out the back, 1 over the curb, and then 3 inside.
But we have had a very big problem with catchy license plates when we are getting ran. We're having, not just Gwen, we've had that on several buses, the detail is just not there to read a license plate.
I just remember large figures for them cameras, so it is a concern.
But we will check that, make sure that things are operating like they should. Athletic department,
Mine are easy. The only changes that I made were just including the changes to the admission process that we had agreed on last month. So everything else in there just stayed the same this year. That's a growing document too. As I grow and learn more, I'm sure it'll adjust more. But everything else is the same. And I apologize for not being able to pull off a 10-point word like matrices like Bruce pulled out. I'm sorry, I'm a class clown. I'm sorry.
the athletic department policies just made it in today. So you all haven't had a chance to look at them. I went ahead and included them since there weren't any major changes in them. Pardon me?
We've never seen it, I've never seen it.
I've never seen one.
Since I've been on board, it's the first time I've ever seen a coach's handbook.
Are you comfortable with moving forward with them as they are? You see, I don't,
This is a minor question, on Coach's Clinic, and I could be totally wrong. I heard that last year, like football went to Coach's Clinic during school and at some point, maybe late fall, then they went ahead and went again in the spring and during school times. I mean, is that probably the best time to be going? Can they find times,
That's when they're available.
like not summer, there's not even
No, because they're
summer?
practicing in the summer, so there's very few camps, if any, in the summer.
Well, maybe not go to 2 from the same sport if it's during school.
We could adjust that, sure.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve it? I mean, Ellie, all in favor?
all right, the policies that are behind tab G, let me just qualify these and say, we pay Arkansas School Board Association and their attorneys to write our policies. I have known in situations where districts tweaked the policies and it created problems for the districts. You pay professionals to write these. We have looked at these. We actually there's not, I would say, a smoking gun in these policies this year, not like there probably were last year as the Learns Act came out and certain things along that. They're pretty simple. A lot of wording, a lot on Title IX, and of course we're certainly going to make sure we operate in accordance with that. In reading these policies, it would make me very nervous for us not to follow the recommendation of the School Board Association attorneys, which are that we follow these policies.
Are we still going with the state of Arkansas?
Yes,
Not?
we've been directed that we will follow 2020 regs until we're in a lawsuit with several other states. Actually, if you look at the United States, it's like 50-50, who's in and who's not, who's filing a suit. So right now, we'll be doing everything we've been training, but we still are obligated to yearly training. And if I could slip this in, you'll be getting, all of you will be getting an email from me with that training again. If you could just watch that video and it will record it. That way, we're gonna ask everyone and new hires as they come on board so that everyone has been, it's called responsible employee, but as the school board, if you'll do that. If you have trouble getting online or finding it or something, just give me a call.
But you'll email it with the link.
I will email you the link. You just click on it.
I would recommend we adopt the policies as presented by the Arkansas School Board Association.
Josh, all in favor?
All right, it is not on our agenda, so I would need a motion for us to go into executive session, but I would like for us to go into executive session.
We come back to that, Scott?
I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
It's, hold that up. Is that in your book? Is the,
Yeah, I seen it all go.
is the bullying report in your book?
Yes.
Because it's not in my book, that's why I passed on it.
It's in here. It was like way at the beginning.
Okay, it is, it should be. Somehow it didn't make it into mine. But the district bullying report, we're required by the state to report to you all the findings from the previous year in regard to bullying. That document is what we're required to provide. Do you have it?
I'm looking.
Where is it? I couldn't find it in
It
mine.
says it's F.
Between F and G,
Oh.
about halfway, maybe a little bit closer to the front. Under.
I'm looking.
It was in here, because I remember seeing.
Mine anyway.
Oh.
There it is, it's under,
Superintendent report.
Okay, I'm not there yet, okay.
G under superintendent is where it is in mine anyway. I didn't load them, so I'm not making no problem.
so.
Okay, there it is.
You're under superintendent.
So you can see the number of incidents, the actions taken, the parent contacts, based on the report from 23-24. Broken down by Huntsville and St. Paul, broken down by each building.
So if it says no action, if there's nothing in the action taking, is that like mean it's ongoing, or is it just, there was nothing?
9 days later.
Well,
It took me 2 hours, but I got it.
if there were no incidents, then no actions taken, and then the bottom line there, is not able to be discussed because it's staff.
Staff review.
Okay, but it doesn't, so nothing,
Doesn't mean
Yes.
nothing was done, but we can't put that on there.
There
It's a personnel matter.
oh, okay.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Personnel matter?
You know I said it right, but you got the point across.
Yes,
So,
can't say it right
you
now.
got what we needed to know. Good enough to suit me.
No, oh, okay, never mind.
All right.
Well, I would make a motion to go into executive session, to go into executive session. I think we had to make a motion to go into.
Since it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, to go into executive session to discuss, property, and I'm gonna add employment. Because might as well do it while we're back.
Okay, motion to return.
I'll make a motion.
I second it.
Alright, all in favor?
Right, we're back in session. The,
You need to say, no action is taken.
No action was taken. Executive session.
the, last item that we have to deal with is personnel. You all have been provided a sheet that has personnel listed. We are still working on some personnel. I know we did some interviews this afternoon. That we purposely held that sheet just because we were trying to get everybody in that we could before school started. But we do have a slate of personnel there, and I would entertain any questions you have on that.
If we have others, are we gonna have to have a special meeting to approve those prior to?
So what we would like is your blessing to go ahead and put those people in place, and then we will hire them retroactively at our September meeting, so we don't have to come back in, if we have your blessing.
I make a motion.
So I would recommend we approve the personnel.
Motion by Graham, second by Steve, all in favor?
Okay? And then in the back of your book, in the folder, there is a list of student transfers, both in and out. We will need board approval on those transfers also.
Motion to approve the transfers.
Second. All in favor?
Right. That is everything I have.
I've got one thing.
Yes,
On the St. Paul campus, there is an old, I guess Bruce is gone, but I believe it's an old church that the windows are boarded up, and I had talked to Jonathan about it.
And I've got to tell you, Jonathan said something to me about it. Matt and I have been down there and we kind of looked at it.
Yeah.
But I need more information. I don't even know where
Yeah.
to start with that.
So it was a whole thing, but Jonathan said there was multiple owners of it, and they got a hold of one of the parties and they were willing to sell, and they could never get a hold of the second party. I don't know. I was just going to ask, like, did you ever hear anything, find anything? But if you didn't really know about it.
I've done nothing,
Okay.
to tell you the truth. So
We'll go on another wild goose chase, but that building, we have had the fire marshal in there, and he said that it is a safety hazard on a St. Paul campus.
I would say it is, the way it's said.
It's in really bad shape.
So if you would help me find a contact, I will start tracing that rabbit.
Okay.
But I don't even know where to start.
Okay, I've got someone I can get it from, and I'll shoot it to you.
That would be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Again, it's gonna be a wild goose chase, but
Well,
we'll
chase
get
it.
there
We'll chase it.
eventually.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Train's done some work on that.
Oh, okay, he has.
He might be one to.
Okay, I'll ask him, talk to him about it.
Anybody have anything else?
All right, we get a motion from Graham, Steve, Josh, all in favor?